If you just brought home a new cat, you're probably doing everything you can to make them feel loved, aren't you? You're giving them attention. You're trying to pet them and play with them. Maybe you're introducing them to every room, every family member, showing them all their new toys. And honestly, that sounds like exactly what a caring owner should do. But here's what almost nobody tells new cat owners, not the shelter, not the breeder, not even most veterinarians. That flood of love and attention you're giving in those first critical days? It's the single biggest mistake you can make. And it's setting up problems that won't show up for weeks or even months, by which time you'll have no idea that the damage started on day one. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Your new cat doesn't experience your affection the way you intend it. What feels like love to you feels like overwhelming chaos to them. And in those first 30 days, when their brain is trying to assess whether your home is safe or threatening, every interaction you force, every boundary you push, every room you rush them into is telling them, "This place is unpredictable. You are not in control here. You are not safe." Most new cat owners are making this mistake right now, with the best intentions, and they won't realize it until their cat is hiding, aggressive, or emotionally shut down weeks later. Let's start with what's actually happening in your cat's brain during those first days, because once you understand this, you'll never approach a new cat the same way again. Did you know that when your cat first enters your home, their brain is flooded with stress hormones at levels comparable to a prey animal being chased by a predator? Here's what most new owners don't understand. You see your home as safe, familiar, and welcoming. Your cat sees it as completely foreign territory filled with unknown threats. Everything is wrong to them. The smells are wrong. The sounds are wrong. The layout is unfamiliar. They don't know where danger might come from. They don't know where to hide. They don't know if there's food or water they can safely access. And most critically, they don't know if you are safe. Research on feline stress responses and adjustment periods, published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery, found that cats in new environments experience elevated cortisol levels for a minimum of several days to several weeks. During this time, their nervous system is in a state of hypervigilance. They're not thinking about bonding. They're thinking about survival. And here's what happens when well-meaning owners try to force interaction during this period. Every time you approach, your cat's stress response spikes. Every time you pick them up when they're trying to hide, you're confirming their fear that they can't escape danger. Every time you bring another family member to meet the new cat, you're adding another unpredictable variable to an already overwhelming equation. The physiological result? Sustained cortisol elevation. And chronic stress in cats doesn't just feel bad temporarily. It suppresses immune function, disrupts digestive processes, and most importantly, interferes with the formation of secure social bonds. A study on cat-human attachment formation found that cats who experienced high-stress introductions were significantly more likely to develop anxious or avoidant attachment styles with their owners, even months later. You're not building a bond in those first 72 hours by forcing interaction. You're potentially damaging the foundation of the relationship before it even starts. So here it is. The one mistake new cat owners make in the first 30 days, trying to create a relationship before establishing safety. You want your cat to love you. You want to feel connected. You want to prove you're a good owner. So you try to pet them, hold them, play with them, include them in family activities. You think you're showing love. But what your cat actually needs is the exact opposite. They need time, space, and predictability. They need to decompress from the trauma of transition. And yes, even if you adopted them from a loving foster home or a good breeder, the transition itself is traumatic. Their entire world just changed. Behavioral specialists who work with cat adjustment use something called the 3-3-3 rule. 3 days to stop feeling completely overwhelmed and start eating/drinking normally, 3 weeks to start understanding the routine and feeling somewhat secure, 3 months to truly settle in and show their real personality. But here's what most new owners do: they try to compress all of that into the first weekend. They want the fully bonded, comfortable, playful cat immediately. And when they don't get it, they push harder, which makes everything worse. Let me be very clear about what this looks like in practice, because you might be doing it right now without realizing it. Mistake behavior 1: constantly checking on them, petting them, trying to coax them out of hiding. What your cat experiences: I can't let my guard down. The threat keeps returning. Mistake behavior 2: introducing them to the whole house immediately. What your cat experiences: there's too much territory to secure. I can't monitor all of this. I'm not safe. Mistake behavior 3: having multiple family members interact with them in the first days. What your cat experiences: there are multiple unpredictable beings. I can't learn the patterns fast enough. Mistake behavior 4: forcing physical affection when they show any signs of comfort. What your cat experiences: the moment I relax, boundaries get violated. I can't trust the calm. Every single one of these comes from love. But every single one of them delays bonding instead of creating it. Here's why this mistake is so insidious. The consequences aren't immediate. Your cat doesn't bite you on day 3 and teach you that you're pushing too hard. Instead, the damage accumulates invisibly and manifests weeks later in ways you won't connect to those early days. Cats who are overwhelmed in the first 30 days often develop chronic hiding behavior. Even after months in your home, they spend most of their time under beds or in closets. You think, they're just shy. But actually, they never completed the adjustment process because they never got the decompression time they needed. Cats who had their boundaries repeatedly violated early on learn that subtle communication doesn't work. They stop giving warning signals and go straight to hissing, swatting, or biting. You think you got an aggressive cat. But actually, you created a cat who learned that gentle no's get ignored. This is the heartbreaking one. Cats who were pushed for affection too early often become permanently distant. They'll tolerate you, coexist with you, but that deep, trusting bond never forms. You think, cats are just independent. But actually, your cat never felt safe enough to attach to you. Cats who don't properly decompress can develop chronic stress conditions, overgrooming, digestive issues, litter box avoidance, or stress-induced cystitis. You treat the symptoms for years without realizing the root cause was those first overwhelming weeks. A study tracking long-term outcomes for newly adopted cats found that adjustment period handling was one of the strongest predictors of long-term behavioral health. Cats given proper decompression time showed significantly lower rates of behavioral problems at the 1-year mark compared to cats whose owners rushed the bonding process. You get one chance at a first impression. And for cats, that first impression lasts. If you're realizing you might have already made this mistake, or you're about to bring home a new cat, that's exactly why Whisker Wisdom exists. Subscribe so you get this right from day 1. Or learn how to repair what's already started. Because what comes next is the protocol that actually works, the one that builds trust instead of breaking it. So if overwhelming them with love is the mistake, what's the alternative? How do you welcome a new cat without pushing them away? Here's the protocol that feline behaviorists actually recommend, and it's going to feel counterintuitive. Days 1 to 3. The sanctuary period: set up one small room as your cat's initial territory. Not the whole house. One room with litter box in a corner away from food and water, opposite side from litter, hiding spots, cardboard box, cat carrier with door open, vertical space, chair or cat tree if available. Then, and this is the hard part, leave them alone. Visit the room only 2 to 3 times daily to refresh food/water and clean litter. Sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes if you want, but don't initiate contact. Read a book. Look at your phone. Exist peacefully in their space without demanding anything. Let your cat approach you if they choose. If they don't, that's fine. You're teaching them that your presence doesn't require anything from them. Days 4 to 7. Predictable presence: continue the same routine, but add soft talking. Tell them about your day in a calm voice. You're becoming a predictable, non-threatening part of their environment. If they approach, let them sniff your hand. Don't reach for them. Let them control all contact. If they rub against you, that's wonderful. If they don't, that's also fine. Days 8 to 14, interactive offerings start bringing toys into the room. Drag a string toy or roll a ball, but don't focus on your cat. Play with the toy yourself. You're showing them that play exists, without demanding they participate. If they eat while you're in the room, that's a huge trust signal. If they use the litter box while you're present, even better. These are signs they're starting to feel secure. Days 15 to 21, expanding territory. If they're ready, here's how you know they're ready for more space. They approach you when you enter. They eat/drink normally. They're exploring their room confidently. They're playing or showing relaxed body language. If all of those are true, open the door and let them choose to explore. Don't carry them to other rooms. Let them venture out in their own time and retreat to their safe room whenever they want. Days 22 to 30, building routine. Establish predictable patterns. Feed at the same times. Daily play sessions at consistent times. Quiet together time in the evening. Predictability builds security. Security enables bonding. Here's what proper decompression looks like in practice. For the first week, you might think nothing is happening. Your cat hides. They're cautious. You wonder if you're doing it wrong because they're not cuddling with you. But then, somewhere around day 10 to 14, something shifts. Your cat starts to relax. They greet you when you enter. They play a little. They sleep in the open instead of only in their hiding spot. By week 3, they're venturing into new rooms. They're seeking your attention on their terms. They're showing you their personality. And by the end of the first month, you have a cat who chose to trust you because you proved you were trustworthy. You didn't force them to love you. You gave them the safety to decide you were lovable. That's a completely different foundation than a cat who was pushed into proximity before they were ready. Research on successful cat integration found that cats given proper decompression time were significantly more likely to seek out owner interaction voluntarily. Show secure attachment behaviors. Explore their environment confidently. Display play and affection behaviors. These aren't naturally friendly cats versus naturally shy cats. These are cats whose owners worked with their biology instead of against it. So what if you're reading this and your new cat has been home for a week or two, and you've already been pushing too hard? Here's the good news: it's not too late to reset. Start the decompression protocol now, even if they've already been in your home. It might feel like going backward, but you're actually giving them what they needed from the start. Reduce interaction. Give them space. Let them come to you. Re-establish their safe room if they're still showing stress signals. You might see improvement within days, or it might take weeks. But consistency will work. Cats are incredibly forgiving when you start speaking their language. Here's what this all comes down to. Real bonding doesn't happen through force or intensity. It happens through safety, predictability, and respect for autonomy. You cannot make a cat love you by pushing affection on them. You can only create the conditions where they feel safe enough to choose affection themselves. And that choice, that moment when your cat decides to trust you because you've proven yourself trustworthy, is worth more than 100 forced cuddles. The one mistake isn't about not loving your cat enough. It's about loving them in your language instead of theirs. It's about prioritizing your need for connection over their need for security. The first 30 days aren't about bonding. They're about building the foundation that makes bonding possible. Get the foundation right, and you'll have years of genuine connection. Rush it, and you might spend those same years wondering why your cat never warmed up to you. At Whisker Wisdom, we believe in building relationships based on what cats actually need, not what makes us feel good. If you're bringing home a new cat or you know someone who is, share this so they get it right from day one. Your cat doesn't need your love in the first 30 days. They need your patience. The love comes later, naturally, when you've earned it by giving them what they actually needed. And that's a bond that lasts a lifetime.